Get over here!
Tengo una vaca lechera, una vaca de verdad. Tengo una vaca lechera, una vaca de verdad.
You lost me.
La vaca. Moo. For those of you who know the song, you know. Have you not heard that song?
No.
Oh my god, I got something to show you later. Very, very strange, but very popular Latino song, and everyone's been using it for the cow in Mario Kart.
Oh, okay.
I'll show it to you later.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh, I gotta show you that later. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode 31 of Let's Play The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I'm the Green Scorpion.
I'm the ComicFoil.
And...
way to start an episode like that when we're about to go and fight Ganon in his own castle. Did you think maybe we could take this a little more seriously?
I wanted to see my cow one last time.
You act like you're gonna die over there.
No, we're not, but... forgive me for at least wanting to calm down with a little bit of milk, alright?
Alright, right, sorry. Also, how'd you talk with your ocarina in your mouth?
Don't worry about it. Oh man, I'm gonna miss those RP moments.
I want to, point out... So, all cows in Hyrule have the ability to speak. They just don't want to unless you play a nice song for them.
That is true. That is very true. This also implies that they don't milk unless you play that song for them.
Maybe not for Link.
Fair, actually.
Yeah, maybe for like, Talon and Malin who know how to milk cows better.
True. Very true.
Like, I've never milked a cow, and I feel like if I just tried to do it right now, I wouldn't be particularly good at it. I'm sure there's some technique to it.
I believe it is, but it's not hard to learn from what I have to understand. I had the experience of doing so one time because, you know, my dad's a landscaper.
Yeah.
We've been
in rural areas.
Yeah, we've been in a farm or two in our time. So, yeah, no, we have had that experience. So, moving on to more pressing matters here.
Over the Rainbow Road.
It is time. Inside Ganon's castle.
When they sing about somewhere over the rainbow, I don't think this is what Judy Garland was talking about.
Nope, we are definitely not in Kansas anymore, Link. So, we got barriers to dispel here. Let's go ahead and tackle them in order.
So it's cool that they put a Wolfos here, because the first time you fight a Wolfos is in the Sacred Meadow.
Mm-hmm. Actually, while we're here, so I kind of wanted to, like, revisit a little bit of what we were talking about with all the dungeons and, like, the theming behind this game, right?
Yeah.
So one thing I really like that you wrote when we were doing my top 50 favorite games of all time, right?
Yeah.
Is how, like, a lot of people accuse people who like this game, like, for being nostalgic, and yet this game is kind of about nostalgia.
Yeah.
And I do actually feel like a lot of this game does showcase that a bit. Because... so, the Forest Temple, right?
Yeah.
The Forest Temple was a place of supposed worship. Like, it was definitely like an abbey of some kind. But it was also the place where, like, it's the first dungeon you tackle, and the person involved happens to be, like, your childhood best friend, who never ages.
Yeah.
Like, kind of like a remnant of the past that maybe you feel like you could recapture again. Oh, I know this.
Because there's something sad about someone being gone, or, like, something you love being gone. There's something almost sadder about it still being there, but you being too old for it.
Yup. Kind of, like, captures that whole essence of, like, should I be enjoying this because, like, you know, I'm an adult now. Like, should I be enjoying this? Like, should I be finding joy in this thing that supposedly is for kids? Like, you know, that sort of thing. And it's like, no, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with, like, seeing, there's nothing wrong with seeing Saria as your best friend still. There's nothing wrong with returning to the roots of where you were in order to, like, grow from that experience. So, that's kind of like what I feel is the situation with the Forest Temple, is kind of that theming of, oh yeah, like, what was it? You're never too old to revisit your past, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny how, like, Ganondorf, like, that's where you fight, like, Phantom Ganon, right?
Yeah. And in a way, you're kind of fighting Link's old nightmare.
Yup. Oh, yeah, that's very true, as a matter of fact. That's a great point. Sorry, trying to make sure I have this figured out, because these puzzles can get a little tricky. I'm actually quite surprised that we're doing, hover boots,
Yeah.
well, not actually, though. I don't think I needed the hover boots here.
No, I don't think you needed it, but it does, you know, make it a little easier to maneuver around. But you can make the jumps. Something the Forest Temple makes me think of a lot.
Yeah?
The hardest time in my life was, like, when I started college. And I might get interrupted here, actually, for... Sorry, I have to talk to us.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that real quick.
The forest barrier is dispelled. Hurry up, Link.
There we go. Pretty easy. You were saying, by the way.
Yeah, so I had a tough transition into college, and my first semester was, like, really bad. I was feeling really isolated. I missed not being able to see all my friends from high school and stuff.
I remember college wasn't exactly a really good part of what was been going on.
Yeah, and that's when, like, a lot of, like, depression and anxiety stuff that I think I was already prone to.
Yeah?
But that's when it really, like, manifests a lot for me.
Ooh.
But, kind of separate from that, I can remember finishing my first semester.
Yeah.
So it's like winter now. Going back, so in high school, we spent a lot of our time, Oscar and I and a lot of our friends were in the theater department. That's where Oscar and I started really being friends, and with a lot of other people. And Oscar's the same year as me, so he was already graduated too. But I was back, you know, for winter break. And, you know, now that I had time, I wanted to go back to, like, my favorite place around town, which was at my high school, where, you know, the auditorium and where we practiced theater. And there was a show coming up. And I went... You know, Saturdays were crew days, and it was when people worked on the set and stuff like that. And there were, like, some rehearsals going on sometimes on Saturdays, but also it was when, like, so I went, Oscar would go when he had time after he was off from school too, to help paint and stuff like that. And I was like to the director, like, hey, I'm back for the month, you know, if you need any help, you know, I can be here as much as you want. Let me know. I can come here every day. I really wanted to, like, throw myself back into that. But, like, the thing was, and a lot of our friends were a year younger than us and were still there and were doing their rehearsals and stuff like that. So, like, there was that. There were people that I knew. But despite that, it just felt now, like, even though I, like, finally came back like I wanted to, it, like, didn't belong. I, like, didn't belong there anymore. And I could visit. Like, Ocarina of Time is saying, like, you're not too old to visit your past, to reflect on it, to enjoy some of it, but you also can't stay there.
And that's actually one of the things that I feel is a theming with the Fire Temple, as a matter of fact. Because, it is true. The main thing about time is that everything is gonna burn, away. Things eventually are gonna be, brought down to smolders, with enough time.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you can visit your past, but eventually...
everything is temporary.
Yeah, everything's temporary. You're gonna have to move on. Except what you have managed to build within that time in your past. The connections you made.
Yeah.
Like Link becoming a brother to Darunia. That's something that things like fire and time don't really need to
sometimes the things you think have completely eroded away are still there in some way.
Yep. Like stone.
And Link discovering a connection that happened while he was away. That's really important. Darunia named a kid after him.
Yup. I realize I can't do it without that one treasure, so we're gonna have to move on to the next one.
Okay.
But no, continue.
Yeah. Darunia named his kid after Link. That's huge, and that's a nice thing when Link's if this game was a little bit more narrative, if it had more dialogue to explore the inner thoughts, I think that would be kind of a great pick-me-up after having to say goodbye to Saria again.
Mm-hmm.
He's back to Kokiri Forest, he's feeling out of place, he's feeling like he's literally outgrown the place. Mito and the other Kokiri don't recognize him. He finally finds Saria, saves her, but she can't stick around.
Yep.
That's so sad, but then, you go to Death Mountain, a place where Link is much less familiar with, but had, an important adventure there. All the Gorons are gone, too. Oh, here we go again. Yeah, everything's gonna be different, everything's gonna be worse, I had to say goodbye to everything. No, Darunia remembered you, and here's his kid, and his kid is named after you because your connection is so strong.
And if it wasn't for that kid, you never would have figured out how to find the Fire Temple and save the Gorons.
Yeah. Which, realistically, you could just go straight up to the Fire Temple. You don't actually need to talk to Little Goron, but...
Fair, but,
But, narratively, yeah.
You wouldn't have figured that out at the time. And I suppose, probably the most, obvious one, is time flows like a river.
Okay.
And that leads us to the Water Temple, where I feel is a bit of a climax when it comes to the whole characterization of, how this game wants to present the flow of time. Because, let's be honest, for all intents and purposes, I still remember what Sheik said, somewhere down the line, is that time is an endless flow, of water, but the Ocarina of Time is like a port. Is like a ship, or the Master Sword is the ship, and that port is the Temple of Time.
Yeah.
So Link has this capability
to travel upriver.
Yeah, travel upriver, basically travel through time. But he also needs to understand that even if he does have that power, what good is that power to, oh, I gotta go get some more flame.
He, can't take the rest of the world with him.
Exactly. And that kind of, goes with the whole thing of, oh, hey, unlike Saria, who stayed in the past and doesn't grow up, here's a connection you made that did grow up with you, with Ruto.
Yeah. Another tough lesson, I think, for a lot of people growing up is, if you were lucky enough to get into dating in, your teen years, which not everybody, gets their first significant other that early.
Yeah.
But a common thing for a lot of people is to have, a high school sweetheart, and it's, when you're really feeling, serious, kind of adult love for the first time.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot about, promises, and you kind of oh, I'm going to feel this way forever. We both are. This is the person I'm going to marry. A lot of us think that when we're,
oh, yes.
in our teens. And for some people, that does work out, and you stay with your high school sweetheart. I'm not knocking those relationships. But that's not always the case.
High school sweetheart, love at first. Like, I actually do genuinely believe that love at first sight can be a thing, or your first love sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
It is hard. It is hard, and it is extremely rare that the very first person that you fall in love with will be the last person that you fall in love with. It's possible, but it's rare.
Yeah. So, like, Jabba Jabu's belly, a promise is made. Even though it's, played for laughs a little bit, and it's a promise that Link maybe isn't planning to uphold. Mm-hmm. There is a promise from Ruto that they're going to get married. But, that promise isn't kept because, like water, time, and our plans is very fluid and things change.
Yep.
And 7 years later, Link and Ruto are not the same people they were.
Yep. Ruto became is soon to become the ruler of the Zora. She has her own responsibilities as a Sage of Water now, and Link has his responsibility as the hero of Hyrule.
Yeah.
Like, 7 years is simultaneously not a lot of time, and yet a long time. A lot of things can happen in 7 years.
Especially for, like, a relationship.
Oh, absolutely.
You could even say, like, kind of like symbolism a little bit of it being you show up there and all the water is frozen. Because, like, if we said the Water Temple arc is about unresolved promises, like, things are kind of held that way. The water is frozen in place until Link can come back for him and Ruto to resolve this promise they've made to each other.
Yep.
And for Ruto to be able to tell him, like, hey, we're actually not going to be able to get married. I have to go be the Sage of Water, and you have to go be the Hero of Time.
And you know what I kind of find interesting, on that regard, right? Is the fact that,
like, only after that a promise is, like, let go of can Zora's River thaw and things can go back to being right.
And you know what I find interesting for me personally, right?
Yeah.
Who froze that river?
So I believe Ganondorf did.
Yeah. It kind of, like, is a pretty good symbolism of, like, oh, hey, Ganondorf bided his time. Ganondorf now finally accomplished what he wanted. And now he's trying to keep it that way. Like, now Ganondorf kind of wants to maybe sort of, like, maybe kind of sort of, like, freeze time so that he can be the greatest, grandest ruler forever and ever type of thing.
He is kind of freezing everything into the moment he won until he can get the Triforce and go forward. But I think all the time with, like, Wind Waker, like, Ganondorf didn't really keep his promise to the Gerudo people.
He didn't.
He didn't, like... I think the Gerudo could come live here now, but he's not bringing them over.
Nope.
He wants his, like, complete Triforce and his complete victory. And after he does that, who knows if even then if he would bother to bring his people there, or if he would just bask in his... Like he's kind of given the kingdom over to monsters.
And...
So what about the Shadow Temple? What's the, like, time lesson here, if we were to, like, make this game more thematic and narrative?
Which, and, like, this actually leads to, like, what I wanted to, like, go into with the last temple. There's a certain comment that we've gotten in a previous video that I feel is so unbelievably, like, smart. But in regards to the Shadow Temple, I think the Shadow Temple is a good representation of accepting your troubled past. Because, like, if there's one thing about, like, the Shadow Temple and Kakariko Village and how that whole spiel played out, is that no matter how nice you may want things to be, or how, like,
you do have to, like, move forward. You can't, like, go back to fix the problem. In fact, you kind of have to go back to cause the problem.
Yeah, and, like, the truth of the matter is that for as much as we would like to forget our mistakes, forget our past, forget, like, oh, all of this, like, horrible things that, like, happened, right? The past happened. Nothing is gonna change that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to come to grips with that. For as great as, like, this game likes to depict Hyrule as, like, you know, oh, we're the heroes, we're the good guys and everything, Hyrule's not unclean.
Yeah.
There have been some really, really bad things that happened in Hyrule, no matter how you slice it.
Golden gauntlets, baby.
And there it is. This is the last thing we need. And hey, look at that. Nice. And I think that's like the main thing with the Shadow Temple, is accepting that, hey, the past had to happen in order for you to be able to become the thing or the person you are now.
Yeah.
Hyrule may have made a lot of mistakes in the past, but that had to happen in order for them to get to where they are now.
Or there's, like, no use going back and trying to make it not happen.
Exactly.
You need to fix... You need to fix what is here now, not just
Yep.
undo it.
What was that one quote from Danny Phantom that Clockwork said? Sam and Max need to be cured in the present, not the past.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like what the whole thing with the Shadow Temple is
Sam
like...
and Tucker?
Sam and Tucker, right.
Yeah, Sam and Max are
Right.
a dog and a rabbit.
Yeah, that's the wrong thing. But, like, Sam and Tucker need to be cured in the present, not the past.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I find that absolutely valid.
I always liked Clockwork.
Oh, Clockwork's a great character.
I thought that was a cool design with him, like, changing age constantly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, past, present, future. And that leads to the Spirit Temple, which I think is beautiful because it kind of like... The Spirit Temple is like apt for being the last temple because it kind of brings everything together.
Wait, before you get there, sorry, one last thought on Shadow Temple.
Oh yeah, go for
also.
it.
Because Shadow Temple is the first, like, temple / like, arc that requires you going back in time.
Yeah, that's true.
And, you know, kind of interesting that you can't change the monster getting out of the well, or even the guy in the windmill going insane.
You kind of cause it.
You kind of cause it.
You have to make it happen.
Because time needs to move forward. But, going back is still valuable to understand the problem.
Yes, that is actually...
You don't go back in time to stop the problem from happening, you go to understand what's wrong.
Yup.
And you get a lens of truth that lets you identify things.
Yeah. Like...
You go into one of Hyrule's darkest secrets, the well, to get the lens of truth.
Like...
To see all the things that Hyrule has covered up about its past.
At the end of the day, you have to face yourself.
Yeah.
Like, all the mistakes in the past, all of those, like, dark things... Like, you can wish you had changed it all you want, but sometimes things happen for a reason. And that's exactly what happened here. Okay, now that we have the Golden Gauntlets, we can get through this floor. I think. I'm still trying to figure out how to get past that one area.
Just get rid of that stupid timer.
Yeah, that one, and use this, because it turns out that the hover boots make it so that this platform doesn't go down.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It does work on that one for some reason, though.
Does that platform actually go down? The middle one?
Oh yeah, it does. So, the instant I take these boots off, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a funny... I don't know if that's an oversight or an intentional design decision, but it's cool. I really like that they made throwing that thing a move in Hyrule Warriors.
Link, have you been lifting?
When you're going around and, like, adventuring the way we have, you tend to get stronger.
Or you just get better equipment.
Or you just get better equipment.
I think Ocarina of Time Link has a case for being the strongest Link.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Ultimately, I think it's Hero of the Wilds, but...
Here are the Wilds, like, probably purely because of the versatility that you have access to, with, like, all the things you can do in that game.
Yeah. But... Hero of Time can bench the most.
Oh, yeah.
Either with the Golden Gauntlets or with the Goron Mask.
Alright, there we go. And I believe with the hover boots, we have all the time in the world. Beautiful.
like how the arrow floats there for a moment. Oh, Darunia, sorry.
Sorry, brother.
The fire barrier has been... Brother, why?
Sorry!
4 down.
4 down, 2 to go.
Yeah.
Oh, down there.
Yeah, because there is also one for the Light Temple.
That's right.
Even though the Light Temple isn't an explorable dungeon.
I guess when it comes to, like, this analogy or the lesson that we're, like... Oh. I love how he just breaks it.
What if that just turned off that part of the barrier? It just, like, smashed the receiver.
Oh, that would be hilarious. But I guess you could say, like, the Light Temple in this, like, little, like, connection that we're trying to make is... Hello. Oh.
Wow.
Hang on. I'm gonna try something here.
That key said 20 rupees.
Oh no, it just made them fiery, I think.
Huh.
Let me grab the lens of truth here.
I feel like as, like, the first location after the time skip, kind of, like, looking at it that way, Temple of Light would be kind of, like, clarity and understanding, like, the true purpose of the quest a little bit, and, like, you could call it kind of, like, the realization, like starting to understand more how the world works, like, as an adult, and, like, getting the new sense of priorities.
For me, it, like, was pretty much the thing that, like, brought it all together, as it were.
Okay.
Like the, I guess, the focal point, quote-unquote. Because, like, it all stems from the all of this stems from the Temple of Time.
Yeah.
And the only reason I'm opening these is because 100% I gotta open every single treasure chest.
Yeah, gotta open every chest. Yeah,
Interesting.
Does this just want the lullaby? Left up down. Left up right.
Thank you.
The new Deltarune has a part where you can, like, where there's a piano where you can play music, kind of like the Ocarina, and there's a lot of Easter eggs for playing
Oh
past
yeah, I remember that.
songs.
Dude, some of the things that some people can do with, like, segments like that, I know The Last of Us also has a segment where you can, like,
Oh yeah, there's
play the
guitar playing
guitar.
moments, yeah.
And there's also, like, Final Fantasy VII Remake where you can play the piano.
Yeah.
Dude, some of the stuff that people can do on those things, like, baffles the mind.
If you give players an instrument in a video game,
they will find a way to master it.
yeah.
Ah, but you see, it was not truly there all along.
As you see, you don't. The light barrier is dispelled! Hurry! Can you please, figure out something about these arrows? They just sort of hang there. That seems like a bit of an oversight on the programmer's part. I mean,
What are you talking about?
this couldn't have been unforeseen. That's the only way you interact with this object is to fire a light arrow. How did nobody notice that?
Alright, so before we tackle the last one, the spirit barrier, we are going to exit the castle for a moment. If I can find where it is.
Yeah, because this room is an octagon.
There it is. Because now that we have the golden gauntlets, we can access One final upgrade. Yeah, go ahead, stop that.
Link, where are we going?
Just gonna make one last pit stop.
Funny thing is, I think the BMOs are also maybe highly in technology.
Really?
Yeah, because... like, I think they might be, like, Hyrule magic constructs. They are big eyes, so they might be Sheikah.
Oh, that's true, actually, now that you mention that.
Yeah, so oddly enough, in the same place that a different fairy fountain was 7 years ago, there's now this slightly more obscured fairy fountain.
Well, let's do it. Damn, Link.
I really love how those, like, stay in the field when they're thrown, too. They don't just despawn.
Wait a second. Oh, I just realized something. Look at the symbol on the pillars.
Yeah, it's Gerudo.
Huh!
Yeah, Ganon probably put those there.
Fair enough.
Those do show up in a lot of places, like the Forest Temple and stuff, and it's like... after a certain point, it is just, like, kind of gamey, and you need to not question how those blocks got places, but it's interesting.
I do like the argument that, like, Ganondorf pretty much put those there, because he would have access to that sort of, like, resource.
Yeah, and he would want to seal a fairy fountain.
Oh, yeah.
He kind of casts, like, permanent meteor spell to, like, drop a big rock there. Or mold earth.
Good to see you!
Welcome, Link! I am the Great Fairy of Courage! I'm going to enhance your defensive power! Receive it now!
I like how earlier, like, before the episode started, I was preparing myself with getting, like, fairies and, like, you know, milk and potions and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't think we're realistically going to die at this point.
No. Your defensive power is enhanced. You are OP. Your defensive power has been enhanced. I just said that. I said it twice for some reason. Damage inflicted by enemies will be reduced by half. When battle has made you weary, please come back to see me.
Man. Oh, and she refills my magic meter, too. Thank you.
Do you want to fill the last bottle? I think you emptied a bottle for fire.
Well, there's no fairies here.
Oh, there's not?
Nope. No, not in the Great Fairy Fountains,
Okay.
oddly enough. Although I have a feeling we'll have access to them, like, in one of the jars in Ganon's Tower anyway, so...
I'm like Wind Waker pilled. There's always fairies in the Great Fairy Fountain.
That's also...
Fair.
That is true. Like, the Great Fairies go and, like, they
Yeah.
dissipate, and then, like, appears, like, a few smaller fairies to, like, top you off, which is
Yeah.
nice. But nope, that's it.
Which, Wind Waker still has the coolest Great Fairies.
So... to top off the theming that I was getting at, right?
Yeah, Spirit Temple.
I want to thank Yuri Vickers on YouTube for making this comment because I thought it was brilliant, right? So I love how, like, the Spirit Temple has the whole theming of, like, you know, Egyptian, a lot of very tomb-esque architecture going on there, and also you were talking about, like, the worshipping of the sun god.
Yeah.
And all that jazz, right? Yuri also, like, saw it as kind of like the culmination of the lessons that, like, Link, and maybe whoever else has to, like, come to grips with when it comes to that, because, much like the, Shadow Temple, the, Spirit Temple is one of the other... is the other one where you have to, like, go between, like, kid and adult in order to complete it, right?
Yeah. I think you need to pull that statue away
Got it.
so that you have more time to get behind the blades.
Thank you. But I kind of like how, the way she described it, right? Is that the lesson that you would garner from a place like the Spirit Temple is nothing lasts forever.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, the Forest Temple has the whole thing of, like, you know, clinging onto nostalgia. The Fire Temple kind of, like, is the whole, hey, you have all of these, like, friendships, these bonds that you made over time that, like, that will last as long as you do. The Flow of Time is always going, like, come to grips with your past in the Shadow Temple, but the Spirit Temple is a bit of a reminder that, like, hey, this is a place that essentially was lost to time. This place is honoring those who have passed. Yes, you have to, like, acknowledge this as a kid, but you also have to acknowledge this as an adult as well. Like, for all intents and purposes, the Spirit Temple is kind of the message of nothing lasts forever. And I like the idea that that's the last dungeon in the game, where soon after all this is over, we get Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
And anyone who plays Majora's Mask or follows the, like, you know, the theories, is, like...
very steeped in death.
Yes.
And if not death, ends. It's steeped in the ends of things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's also very important that Link, like, even after getting his childhood back at the end of this game, like, can't just stay in the Kokiri Forest or in Hyrule. Like, he's kind of like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
It's a lot like, the end of Lord of the Rings, actually, where, like, they go back to the Shire, but Frodo's been through so much, he's like, I can't really just go back to being a hobbit in the Shire now. I've, like, changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually it's actually kind of, like, sad when you think about it, because we're gonna see it at the end of the game, right? Where,
Yeah.
like...
I think it's extremely sad.
Yeah, because, like, Zelda basically sends Link back to the past in order to regain his lost childhood. But the truth of the matter is, Link lost his childhood long ago, after everything that's happened.
Yeah, you can't... the toothpaste doesn't go back in the bottle. Like,
yeah.
After what he's seen, his childhood is over. His innocence is gone. I don't mean he's, like, done something guilty. I just mean he understands the world too much now to go back to, like, a carefree kid.
Mm-hmm. And that's always kind of, like, fascinating to me. And I think the Spirit Temple is a good representation of that, especially because the partner you get there is one you've never really met before. But the connection you make there still lasts,
Yeah,
for all
you
intents and
forge
purposes.
a new connection. And that connection can't last either, but... yeah, because I've seen a lot of attempts to, like fanfics to turn Ocarina of Time, like, into a traditional novel.
Get out of here.
And some of them are really good, but I think to do that, you do need, like, themes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think these are kind of, to me, the most interesting ones. And
I do...
how you can very naturally transform the arcs of this game into a thematic story.
Oh, yeah. I think that's one of the beauties of, like, Ocarina of Time, like, in the grand scheme of it, is because of the fact that not everything is, like, just told to you outright. So, like, storytellers, theory crafters, gamers can interpret so much of their own conclusions to, like, what truly goes on in this game. And I think that's one of the main things about Ocarina of Time, and a lot of these nostalgic games that, like, we kind of take for granted nowadays, is the fact that, like, yeah, not everything is, like, just outright explained to you, but there's a brilliance to that.
I don't even know if all of this is really even intended, but...
oh, yeah, no, like...
you know, art isn't about what the artist put into it. It's about what you, the audience, get out of it.
Sometimes the meaning that the developers or the story writers intended pales in comparison to the significance that the audience and gamers and those who experience the piece can garner from it. And I think that's the true beauty of a game like this.
I love that. So maybe the intention is when Link hits those things with a light arrow, like, the arrow hangs there because all of that is, like, happening in an instant.
Oh!
Like,
you know, I didn't even consider that.
Link hears that message from them and there's a flash of light, but the message they hear from the sage, like, happens the same instant the arrow hits. Like, time seems to dilate for him.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so there it is. The final stretch is upon us. So, we're gonna go ahead and end it off here, guys, and next episode is gonna be the last of it. Thank you guys for joining us for Let's Play The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I'm the Green Scorpion.
I'm the ComicFoil.
Let us know in the comments, guys, what you think of all this. What interpretations you garnered from it all, and what are some of your favorite nostalgic things that you've had in the past? Favorite stories, favorite video games, favorite movies? Let us know in the comments. Next time, we're putting this game to bed. See you then.
Do you think Ganondorf ever walks through this door and like scrapes his foot on these like bottom teeth? This is a very dangerous door. These are very jagged, like not OSHA compliant at all.
Ganondorf is a king of evil and a lord of demons. I don't think OSHA is his greatest concern.
Oh, first thing he did when he took over, he demolished OSHA.
Do you think he was crazy enough to go after the IRS?
Oh, not even Ganondorf's crazy enough to go after the IRS.
I didn't think so. Well, at the very least, we know that while Ganondorf may be a tyrannical king of evil, at least he pays his taxes.